It amazes me how much criticism and attacks that my teacher, Sensei Dillman, has to endure constantly. You go on the internet, there's just this tirade of he's a fraud and he's this and he's that and BS and it's all a bunch of crap. And I mostly ignore it. But I can't help that sometimes it gets under my skin just a little bit, for a couple of reasons. I mean, first, he's my friend. He's not only my teacher, but he's my friend. We've written books together. But also because there's this subtext here. Because if somebody's calling him a fraud, then what they're saying is that I'm a dupe. That I've been duped and fooled all these years. But here's the thing. If you actually look at the people who are Sensei Dillman's students today, almost everyone who is one of his students, all of the senior people, all the people who've been with him for a long time since the pressure point stuff began, we all came to him. He convinced us on the mat that it was real. I mean, I come out of a traditional dojo. When I met Sensei Dillman, I'd been training for, 17, 18 years. I've been doing the Shotokan style. I came out of the Shotokan, really strict Shotokan dojo. And then I'd also was training the Ishinryu style. So I was training these two styles. Like, I'm a traditionalist, practical guy. So I meet Dillman Sensei. And he convincingly demonstrated that what he was talking about was real. Showed time and time again how it made sense, how it was practical against a street style attack. How what it did was it took, so one of the issues that a traditionalist has is you basically, if you're a traditionalist, you train 3 separate arts. You train a competition art that's used in free sparring that doesn't really look anything like your what's called your Goshin, your self-defense art, which is like entirely different from what your kata looks like. So you have a sort of basic training method, which is your kata and your basics, and then you have your Goshin, your self-defense techniques, which don't look anything at all like your kata, and then you have your free fighting, which doesn't look like the other two at all either. And so there's those 3 different arts. And what Dillman was doing was he said, your self-defense art is your kata, and they go together, and they're the same. And showing how that merged, and that against practical street attacks. And all of his, say, all right, grab me. That was it. It was always like, grab me. Do you know what this move is for? Okay, grab me. Like in a bar. Boom, bam, he'd do the technique. And it would make sense. That's how I became a student. Because he was explaining kata in practical ways that made sense. And that in training I can do. In fact, when we do training, this is really, really common. We do training under high stress scenario, street style attacks, high stress. And we do that in order to generate realistic responses and to show how the moves can be used in realistic ways. That's not just me. The guys who are the old timers like me are all people who come from these really hardcore backgrounds. Will Higginbotham, for example. Will is a Shotokan guy. He comes out of the Shotokan background like I do. And has been with Sensei Dillman, I think, even a year or 2 longer than me. Dustin Seal. Dustin Seal is a police officer. He actually has to do it for real on the street, has many, many, many times used it for real on the street. He wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work. He goes to Switzerland, trains guys, Kyokushinkai karate guys, who are doing it. Because he gets up at a seminar and he says, how many of you think that pressure points are crap? And somebody sticks a hand up, he says, you, come here. And he starts out by laying them out with a pressure point technique without any question. And every single person I know who's been with Dillman Sensei for a really, really long time, we're just all very hard-nosed. If it doesn't work, I don't want to do it. Now, I'm not saying it's great for the ring. I don't know if it would work well in MMA, but I'm not training for that. I'm training against that frightening possibility that somebody just grabs me someday and tries to punch me in the face. I'm doing everything I can to avoid that ever happening, but that's what I train for. Or that somebody slams me up against a wall and puts a knife against my neck. That's what I'm training for. And these techniques make sense. I'm Chris Thomas. These are some reflections from the master class. Thanks for watching. Now go train.